Hey YouTube, Sam here. Well, I got my hoard of wheelchairs here, and so I was going to kind of go through them, tell you how I found them, and around what I paid for them. I don't remember exact prices of a couple of them, but anyway, I thought I'd go through that in case some of you are like me, where you need to be able to be more mobile. And going long distances doesn't work for me. And so when I'm out camping or out trying to do things where I want to be a little bit more mobile and go further distances, be able to walk with my family. We go to a big city near me every now and then, and I can't get up and down those hills at all. So when I want to be more mobile, I need to have an electric wheelchair that'll do the job for me. Now, I started with this one right here. I paid, I believe, around $150 for it. I'm not exactly sure. It's a Torque. It's an older wheelchair. I've had this thing from almost day one of hurting myself. Within the first couple months, I actually bought this because I knew I was gonna need something, and we had a trip coming up where we were gonna head to the city, and I needed something. So we went ahead and got a good deal on this. This was a friend of a friend, well, this was a friend, actually, of ours, and his son needed wheelchairs, and they had two of them, and I actually chose this one because it was a little beefier than the other one. Looked like it would go, has bigger tires, so it definitely goes in gravel a lot better than on dirt, and I knew that's kind of some of the areas I'd bring my chair would need to be able to do that. The other one was more like some of these other ones I'll show you back here later. But anyhow, he got a good deal on it. He threw that deal back to me, and so I got a really good deal from a friend. But it's an older wheelchair, and I would highly recommend this wheelchair if you are looking for something used. It's a Torque Invacare on here is what it says. I honestly don't know any more than that, and that's the only words I see is Invacare and Torque, and it has a lot of torque. This has been up some hills that even with good legs I wouldn't want to walk up when I was. It'll go faster than most people can walk as well, and it's got a lot of different adjustments on it. It's got wheelie bars back here is what I call them, because that's what I use them for when I go up some steeper stuff and bumps. I've actually used those a few times, and you can adjust those, and they do kind of pop in and out a little bit as you go, and they have some adjustment. I actually have it so it has tipped over once on me backwards because it does have a little bit of rear weight. Got the batteries back here that you pull out. It takes two 12-volt. I don't know what size. I just went and bought them. They're not a normal car size battery one. They're slightly smaller, but not much. So this one actually will go quite a while. In fact, the batteries I had on this, I originally got when I got with the chair, and I had this chair for probably going on 8 years now. And I just replaced those batteries just because they're just not holding charge as long as I would like them to. And to push this thing around, that's the one thing. To push this thing around with somebody in it, especially my size, would be miserable if you had to do it for very long at all. It pushes okay, but it's stupid heavy. This is like a 300 plus chair pound-wise. So it's a big, heavy, old chair, but it will go just about anywhere and then some that you want it. This one, the batteries go in the back under the seat here, so you got to pull the seat off, and this whole thing comes off. Honestly, when I bought this, the thing was in a lot better shape because, yet again, I take this thing camping where I take it down some dirt roads and things. In fact, to the point where I have actually bent the axle on this one. But the reason I bought this one was because if you take the seat off and this off and the batteries out of it, which are fairly simple to do, then you pull up in the middle and there's a couple latches, this whole thing will fold down and fit in the back of a trunk. So if there's some, like the way you need a bring it around. This thing is quite lightweight once you pull it apart. I mean, altogether it's still fairly heavy, but not too bad. I could have, with one other person, lift this one up fairly easy, especially if I have the front and somebody has the batteries in the back. But this will all fold down. This comes off and folds up and fits in the back of a trunk. This comes off. The whole thing it turns into the frame part, goes into two pieces, and the batteries come off of it, and you can fit this whole thing into a trunk, which is why I bought this. I bought this actually when we took a trip to New York, and this thing went off edges because they didn't have a lot of the older areas in New York don't have wheelchair capable sidewalks. So I would scoot this thing right off off the sidewalk. I think that's where I first started bending the axles at, actually. But it did pretty well, and then I went down a dirt road that was full of big rocks and came down and bent one of the axles pretty bad. It still runs and drives, does pretty well. It does have a little bit of a wiring hiccup somewhere up in here that every now and then it'll kind of stop going, and it loses the ability to know that you're pushing on that. But all in all, I've been very happy with this wheelchair, and the reason it's the second one I bought was because of the mobility that I was able to pull it apart and stick it in a trunk. Yet again, I highly recommend this one. It has done well. It's the Golden Companion, is what it says up here on the dash part. It does have a horn and a light. The horn's pretty well useless. They barely make any noise at all on any of these. And when I got it, I threw the paint job on it. I don't remember. I don't think it was blue even. I can't remember what was blue underneath. I painted this when I got it just for kicks and giggles. This is probably the one I paid the most for. I believe I paid $250 for this one, and the guy wanted like $350, I think, and I actually got him down to like $250 on it, I believe. So, and I mean, I wouldn't probably pay that now. I've had this one probably 5 or 6 years now, going on maybe 4 years now. So, you know, prices go up and down, but actually I probably would. This is a really good one. If you can find one in really good shape, especially, that's a pretty good price. So, and this one was a Craigslist find. I found a guy had it on Craigslist. His uncle passed away and didn't need it anymore, and that's how I got it. Here's the next one. I don't even see anything on it. It says Action Cat. Simply Smart. So Action Cat. I do not honestly know much of anything about this one. It was sitting in the back of a Goodwill getting ready to be brought inside, and when I saw it, I pulled over and I just asked the guy, hey, are they just throwing this thing away, or you know, are they going to bring it in? And they didn't know, so we went in and talked to the manager. And he asked me what I'd give for it, and I said I'd give you $5 for it. And he took the $5, and they loaded it in the back of my truck for me even. The only reason why I bought this one is because of the axle on the other one. They look like they will be very similar. So I believe the parts on this one hopefully will work on my other blue one that I motor like more. If it runs and drives, I will actually probably take this entire system and just transfer it all over to the other one. Because everything in this one looks identical to the Golden Companion one that I bent the axle on. So I'm pretty sure that this one will work in the back of the other one, if not perfectly, with a few modifications. As far as should you buy it, shouldn't you buy it, for $5, anything you can take a chance on. Well, here's my other one. It's an Invacare Pronto Sure Step. You know, it's got the seats that go back and forth. I think that should probably supposed to lock somehow in there and is not locking. It came with the foot piece on here that goes in here. Got different adjustments. This one looks like it's a base model wheelchair that just comes with a couple motors and a seat. Most of these have 2 motors on them. Now this one I picked up on, that's pretty shaky, so this one's been used but pretty well, but I picked it up on the side of the road for free. No batteries in this one. No, there were batteries in this one, but they were dead as a doornail, so I had to pull the batteries out of this. I'd forgotten something. If you're like me and you're willing to take a chance, and I don't know anything about this one, but if you want to at least see if the motors are probably going to work, this is not a guarantee, is that if it won't push, that means the motors are engaged. They all have these right here somewhere on them, and there's another one on this side. Oh, definitely needs some work. It's a little bit solid, but now I can roll this thing around wherever I want. Something I do like about this one is that the back actually can go up more. I did not get a charger for this one, and I'm not even sure if I have one that'll work with it. I have 2 or 3 chargers that have come with different ones that I should be able to make something work, or at the very least I can charge up batteries, make sure they're charged up, put them in this one, make sure it works, and if it works I may look on Craigslist or eBay, probably eBay or Amazon or something, and you can get chargers for these things. Even if they don't come with them, you can usually find chargers for them. So, don't know, once again, anything about this one, good, bad, or otherwise. I do know that when this was brand new, it was probably over $1,000 chair. And that's what I was going to say. People, once the batteries die in them, there's 2 things that happen that I've noticed with every one of these chairs. The people unfortunately passed away, and the people don't want them anymore. Or the more thing that I actually do see, surprisingly, and I don't know if it's because people have way better insurance than I do, but once the batteries die in them, it's so expensive to have somebody put new batteries in it by the time you buy the batteries and have somebody do the work, that they'll just throw the chair out and go get another one. So their loss is my gain, because I don't mind doing a little bit of work. And batteries, you can buy batteries. I just bought batteries for my main wheelchair. The first one I showed you, and they were the bigger sized ones, bigger than these ones take, and I found them for around 150 bucks, and that was for a name brand battery. I don't remember what the name was right now. At some point I might show that, but I don't feel like tearing them out anymore, but because I just got them in not that long ago, and it's not that hard. Most of these aren't too hard. The hardest part is just figuring out how to get the seat off of them sometimes, and that kind of stuff, but after a while, it's, you know, you look at them enough, you'll find it. I may, when I start really messing with these, do videos on kind of how they come apart. And this is one that if some of you are looking at videos as far as wheelchairs are concerned, you may have seen if you've watched my videos. This one is the granddaddy of wheelchairs here. It moves in every direction and then some. This moves around. I'm not sure exactly how anymore. Somehow, there we go. This moves around for somebody who's taking care of a person that would be in a wheelchair like this, I believe, is more what that's for. But it's got all kinds of doodads and thingamajigs on it. Unfortunately, this was the story of a widower that didn't want to look at the chair anymore. I don't like those kind of stories, and I really honestly feel almost bad about this one. And took it on home, and like I said, I feel a little guilty because I'm sure this thing is worth a lot more. But honestly, I put it in on Craigslist with batteries. I don't know, I knew it moved around and did all right, but I don't know, you know, how long the batteries will last. But with batteries on Craigslist, and asked $3,000 for it, and nobody even made a peep on it. So you know, I'm not going to get $6,000, let alone $3,000 for it, but I'm sure I'll make more than $100 off of it. Alright, I was able to find, it says Pride on the back of this one, so that Pride J6, that's what that one is. So one here. It is the Storm series. Looks very similar to the Torque one that I had, the very first one I showed you. And it says Storm series, and I can't read it. It's gone -3. Looks like 3. I'll see if I can see something. If you see something like this, you know what it is. Anyway, I don't know a whole lot about this one. This one was a Craigslist for free. Batteries died on it, and they didn't want to deal with the batteries anymore. This is definitely an older version, similar to my first one, like I said. But a lot more beefy, and this one has all the gizmos and gadgets on it that lift you up and move you around. Plus it has some of the stuff like where the remote will go sideways for a caregiver. It has a lot of the same things that this J6 had. This one here, I've messed with a couple of those type of wheelchairs, like these ones and that J6 one, and they just don't do well in gravel. As to where these ones do really good. In fact, this one I think will even do better than my other one, for the simple fact it is beefier and bigger. Just has a little bit bigger everything about it than that first one I showed you. So that's why I was thinking that this might be the off-road one. Plus it says Storm series, so I need to do more information gathering. The motors on this one are a little bigger in size than the first one I showed you. And that first one, the Torque bluish one that says Torque on the side, that's my favorite wheelchair. It really does a good job of going where I need it to most of the time. And I think this one is just a little bit bigger. I think it's got a little bit bigger motors, little beefier everything that I can see on it. And therefore I want to turn this one into an actual off-road type wheelchair. Figure out a way to put some better wheels and tires and all kinds of things. I would really like to see if there's a way I can make one four-wheel drive even, and that kind of stuff. Because you can go out there and you can buy four-wheel drive ones. I haven't found one yet. I've been looking, and they just don't come up for free very often, or for cheap even. And you can find cheap or even free wheelchairs that you're going to have to put a little bit of time and effort into, clean them up. Most all of them need cleaned up really well. And batteries. You're going to have to spend, probably around $300 to $400 on batteries, all said and done, to make things work. Well, there is my group of cheap, low buck, and free wheelchairs. All things that I don't have a ton of money invested into. Batteries, if you get batteries for one, sometimes they'll work in other ones, so you'll have to check it out if you might want to have two different types like I do. I need this one, and I kind of need the one like the second one I showed you. Those two have worked really well for me. This one works best because I can put my legs up. That one does alright. I can kind of lay my leg out, but after a while my leg really does start hurting more with these type of push around ones here, or scooter type ones. But for all in all, these two things seem to work real well for me. Something else you'll notice in this one, there's a cover here. I actually picked barbecue covers up from the hardware store. Those work really well for rainproof and that kind of stuff. So if I'm traveling and I put my wheelchair on the back of a car, because I have, I'll show that, I have a video on that actually, how I got a low buck wheelchair lift that I can put in the hitch of my rig. I have a video on that, so go check that one out too. But anyway, barbecue covers, I usually throw a tarp on top of the chair after strapping everything down. Throw a tarp on top of the chair, throw the barbecue cover on top of the chair. That pretty well covers the top if it rains or something like that. Now, the barbecue cover works really well for rain, and barbecue cover and tarp. But on the way to the big city, when I go there, if it's really pouring down rain, rain will come up from underneath those the lifts that go on the back of your car, and so I put plastic garbage sacks around the motors and tape them on, and really, you know, that kind of stuff. Try and waterproof it as much as you can, because these things are not actually supposed to go out in the rain. I do think that these ones, yet again, do all right. As far as these ones are concerned, I get a little bit worried about water getting down into the electronics up here and stuff, but I've so far never had those ones in super pouring down rain, and light rain they seem to do okay. But once again, that's up to you to figure out. Alright, I think this has been long enough. Hopefully some of you got some ideas of where and what you can find out there for wheelchairs. If you're a person that really wants to be more mobile than you can be without one. So, this is Sam, Jack of all, Master of none. You all have a good one.